Meow. Is this thing on? Oh, hello and welcome to Helen Kitty Cat Crafts. What do I do? Well, I do slow stitching, dolls' houses, fabric art, miniatures, dioramas, all sorts of things. But mainly I just play because I don't want to grow up. Stick around and see what we do. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. Cats. Oh yes, we do cats too. Welcome. Hello. How are you, my friends? And welcome back to DIY My Chateau. And we are on part 25. Gosh. And here's me thinking that it would be boring and I wouldn't get past part 5. So here we are. So today, do you remember that wall that I started? Oh, yes. Today, I'm going to put the finishing touches to that garden wall. I am. I'm determined. I've made my coffee. I've got my chair. I've sat myself down. And I'm not stopping till it's done. It will get finished. Join me as I do a little spot of gardening. So we're going to start by adding some little plant clusters. Now these are what you would use for model railways. They are little clumps of foliage and they have sticky pads on the bottom, and you just peel them off and stick them on. So I'm going to use it to create a little bit of texture, depth and prettiness, because we need prettiness. The beauty of this garden is that once I've done it, I don't have to go back and keep cutting the lawn and trimming the bushes. Once I've done it, it's done. Unless I want to change anything. But I'm not going to be doing that straight away. So I've got 3 or 4 different types. So I've got some blue flowers, some purple flowers, some 2 or 3 different types of grass, and some pink flowers. Yeah, we've got purple, we've got blue, and we've got pink. I'm thinking I might need to get some yellow ones next. But for now, these will do quite adequately. And I'm just going to add them here and there. There's no hard and fast rules. It's just where I feel like putting them, really. And there we go, a little bit one in there. I'm going to carry on planting these and I'll be back shortly. So what do you think? I think they're quite effective. Okay, so now we're going to apply a little bit of glue, which is the B7000. And we're adding glue because we're going to add some clumping moss. Because it's not all about the plants. And again, this will just add a little bit of different texture, as well as a little bit of different colour. This stuff is quite, it's spongy, it's really odd texture. It is quite spongy and springy, and you can just leave it as the big clumps, or you can break it off and pull it apart. I don't want to go OTT with this, but just a little bit here and there. it's quite dense as well, so you can use it for building up areas. Make big bushes, small bushes, that kind of thing. You can see I'm no avid gardener. So let's see, what have we got in this bag of goodies? Oh, nice big bright yellow plant. Maybe a tad on the large side. Well, I think it'll work. I think it'll work. These are just little bits that I've managed to thrift. Just because I thought they were cute. And add a dash of colour. Well, let's see what else is in this bag. We've got some pots. We've got some, not quite sure what you call them, stamens maybe. Another pot. I've been collecting little gardening bits, and all the bits that I've collected for the garden, well, for all of the dolls' houses and miniatures, I've put in little plastic tubs. Now I've got one tub that is just for gardening stuff. I've got another tub that is just furniture, another tub that is just soft furnishings. You get the idea. As I say, I've been collecting stuff for about 2 years now before I decided to take this project on. So we've got all this yumminess, and we need to use it to make a garden. And I will. Anything else in there we need? Not sure. Check the other bag. I found a pot. That's quite sweet, isn't it? That'd look quite nice there out in the garden with a plant coming out of it. Yeah, that's quite cute. I quite like that. What else am I going to find in this box? Some of the stuff I can't even remember buying. I've had it that long. Oh, yes, a tree. Definitely need some trees. Definitely. I think 3 should probably do it. But we'll go for 4 just in case. You can always put one back. And of course, we have to have pretty roses. Aren't they sweet? They're handmade from clay. I think it's clay anyway. But they're handmade from a shop online. And you know me, pink. I'm sold. Okay, shall we begin? So we've got all this stuff, all this yummy, yummy, yummy things. I've got some dry oasis. And I'm going to sink the pots into the oasis, and then it will fill the pots up. And I'm going to use that as a base for adding my flowers to the pots. It's quite a therapeutic sound. It's kind of like a when you put the pot into the foam. It's the little things, isn't it? The little things that make your day. Anyway. I will carry on potting my pots. I'll see you in a minute. I do love these roses. So delicate. And I think I'm going to put them around the archway for that nice chateau romantic feel. You know, imagine in an evening, sun is just beginning to set. The birds are saying their good night chirps before roosting for the night. Moon is just starting to peek through. The sun is just starting to sink. And you think, oh, what a beautiful night for a stroll. Let's take a stroll through the garden. Can you smell the roses? I can. Beautiful. Now, I've set the scene. Do a bit of adjusting, and then we shall pop them in place. I'm going to glue everything down because I've got cats, and I know for a fact they're going to be interested in what is happening. Basically, they're nosy because curiosity did kill the cat, or it didn't in this case, because my cats are curious about everything, which is why I have to make sure they're nice and secure. So I think that can go in there and push it in. I will glue all these down later. For now, I'm just concentrating getting things into pots. Okay. Yep, we'll do that. Stick that into some dry foam. Florist's foam, that's the word I was looking for. Oasis. Yeah. Not just a band. So cut out some little blocks to stand the trees and bushes into so that I can glue them in place a little easier. So you don't need anything special, just a knife. And you can cut them to whatever size you want. I'm making them fairly wide because I want to give them a good base to grip onto. And these are going to be attached to the little green boards that are on the back side of the walls. Now you know why I put them on little green boards. Get that in there. That's it. They actually look quite cool, don't they? I know I need to cover the bases, and I will. We'll get around to that. Just not quite now. Another tree. I think I might add some colour to these trees at some point. I know they're a very nice shade of green, but maybe just a little speckling of colour would be nice. Ah, yes, like this. Now this is just another little thrifty buy. Cute though, isn't it? It's like a bit like a bonsai, grown for its shape. Well, obviously it's not great grown. I know that they're not young, but you know, for terminology's sake. Another tree. I am going to carry on. I will be back with you shortly. I'm back, and we're going to try and make something out of these odds and ends that are left. So let's take, for want of a better word, we're going to call them stamens. So take the stamens and form into a nice little bunch. And then get some wire and wrap the wire around the bottom, which will hopefully keep them all secure. And just trim off any excess that you don't want. There we go. Give it a final twist to make sure it's nice and secure. And that is how I'm going to make my small flower pots. Ah yes, a bit of foliage I think. Trim that down. Add that to it. Before putting the final bit of wire on there. There we go. I've literally got green thumbs. Trim it down and shape it around. There you go. All you need to do now is pop it in a pot. Well, you don't have to pop it in a pot. You can put it in the foam. You don't even have to put it in the foam. You can just put it straight in the garden. I will be back shortly. And here we are. So let's get this wall back and let's start figuring out how things are going to go. So I think I'm going to put the roses in place first. So here's my archway, arbor, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's just an archway. And it's all painted up, ready to go. So what I'm going to do is fix the roses there, I'm thinking. On the back, I think. Yep, that's better. So they can go on the back, and then the archway can go at the side. I'm just using B7000 to glue them into place. So we've got the archway where it needs to be, and we're going to try and tie the roses to it with a piece of wire. Please do excuse my hands being in the way. There was no other way that I could do it. Yep, I like that. The flowers need a bit of tweaking, but I'll do that once everything else is in place. So I've made a pathway to go from the archway to the conservatory. Greenhouse. What I haven't quite decided yet. Conservatory sounds posher, but technically it's going to be a greenhouse, I think. I'm going to apply a coat of black acrylic as a base coat, just to get things started. Again, it's just made out of air dry clay, and I've added a bit of texture by using the end of a paintbrush to make some marks to suggest cobblestones. It's been left for 24 hours to dry, and so now we're just going to paint it up. Almost finished. As I say, this is just the first base layer. Make sure it's well covered. And leave it to dry for a little while. I had a little bit of clay offcut, so I've made some stones to just decorate the garden with. So I'm just going to paint those a mixture of black, grey and white, just to add a little bit more prettiness. I might actually make some more of these, you know, as I'm going along. If I've got just a little bit of clay left that I don't want to put back on the block because maybe it's a little bit dry, I can just make these and just let them go hard, and I can paint them up and use them as I need to. Just an idea, because I don't like anything going to waste. So we're back, and the paint on the pathway is dry, so we are going to add a little bit of colour. So we've got a nice pale grey here. Just gently dry brushing over the top to get the raised bits. A little bit more around there. It's just about building up the layers nice and gently. So I've got a pale grey, and I've got a white, and I've got a dark silver, and I'm just adding little bits here and there. So dipping the brush in the paint and then drying it off on a little piece of kitchen roll, and then using what's left on the brush just to add bits of colour here and there, like a stippling effect. Because it's not going to be flat, is it? Because it's a path, and I'm trying to keep that kind of rustic charm. At the same time, it also helps adding a little bit of a 3D effect. So I've added as much paint as I want to, and it's dried off. What I'm going to do now is add a little bit of moss to the pathway, because obviously garden path is outside in all weathers, and if you're not a dedicated gardener, then you are going to get a little bit of a green build up. So let's add that to the path, and hopefully it'll look quite realistic. I'm just using Mod Podge glue just because I like the way it dries. So I've put my Mod Podge in place, and now I'm just going to grab the grass, and this is just fake grass that you use on diorama displays. I'm just going to add that over to the glue. Again, excuse my hands. Squidge it down. Okay. Then we just need to give it a little tap to get rid of any excess. And there we have it. What do you think? I'm happy with that. I like that. Yep, that's good. Obviously that needs to dry a little bit. While that's drying, let's add a little bit of colour to a tree that I made. Now I've made this tree. I've got a pipe cleaner and wrapped gold wire around the pipe cleaner and just kept wrapping and wrapping and twisting and wrapping, and then I've gone out, spread it out to make some branches, and then I've covered it with all of the fake grass bits, and then as you'll see I've added some of the pink flowers to it. 1 second. There, is that better for you? Get a little bit of a closer look. And in the bottom is air dry clay. Now the reason I've used air dry clay in the base and not Oasis is because I don't think the Oasis would be supportive enough, because there's a lot of wire on the tree. It does carry a little weight to it, so I've used dry clay, air dry clay at the bottom, and then I've covered it with the green moss, and now I'm just adding a little bit of colour to the bottom, just gluing them in and pushing them in with a little bit of glue. I think that looks quite effective, don't you? And there we have the stones and the trees and the pathway. What do you think? I'm quite happy with that. I think I've done a reasonable job. And now we just need to get them all in situ as is. But before I do that, do you remember I was saying about adding a little bit of colour to the plants, the trees, with a little bit of paint? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do first, because it's a lot easier to paint them while they're all sat here on my turntable than it is to try and paint them once I've put them in the garden. So add a little bit of acrylic, it's just acrylic paint here and there. There we go. Just dotting little bits here and there. And I've also found this little plant that I've been painting pink, and that's going to go in front of the greenhouse, I think, as though it's growing upwards like foxglove. And so here we go. Let's turn them around. plastic is bigger than the turntable. It keeps catching. So I'm just going to add a little bit of paint here and there. As I say, just to add a little bit more colour. I'm not aiming for pure realism, really just to make a little bit more colour. I'm not even sure what these plants are supposed to be. I bought a bundle of bits and they came in that, so yeah, whatever. But they're going to add a little bit of height to the garden, so going to make it look a little bit more dimensional. Sorry, I keep yawning. It's very rude of me. I mean, these are quite cute. Just adding a little bit of white to the edges of the leaves just adds that extra little pop, doesn't it? A little bit more. I think it looks a little bit better. Put that one there. It needs to dry for a few minutes. That one keeps falling over. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Again, I think I'm just going to add a little bit of colour to the edges of the leaves. This is a dark turquoise. I quite like it. It's quite a nice colour, isn't it? Adds a bit more definition as well, I think. I'm just going to add a little bit of colour to the trees as well because they are quite dark, and adding a few spots of blossom. I'll just lift that colour a little bit. I want it green, but I don't want it too green. And don't forget, it's not, the leaves are not going to turn brown. It's going to stay beautiful and spring-like all the way through the year. And I don't have to do any maintenance. No lawn mowing, no trimming. I'm happy with all of that. I think that's going to make a really nice garden. Yeah, I like that. I'm happy with all of that. So join me next time and let's get it planted. Take care now. Goodbye.